The sky is the limit. There's no stopping XRP. We are moments away from spot ETFs being approved. There's a lot of new information coming out about the CEO of Evernorth and what their plans to do with XRP. We also have a ton of new updates about the DTCC listings. We also are going to hear from BlackRock on stablecoins. We're going to mix it in with some other XRP related news. And Brad Garlinghouse was seen with sitting next to Bo Hines at a huge dinner about crypto and AI with the most influential people here in the United States. What that's about to tell you, let's just jump right in here with Ashish Burler, the CEO of Evernorth, and Tony Edward.
You mentioned the demand for XRP. We've seen a lot of spot ETF filings still on the table, waiting for the SEC to take action. In addition, you had XRP futures go live on the CME and so forth. And there's been a lot of institutional demand. So I think it's like perfect timing that you guys are launching this digital asset treasury company focused on XRP, because how things have changed, Ashish. I mean, obviously the SEC Ripple lawsuit has concluded after, years of going back and forth. But, the sun is shining down now on us and the dark clouds have gone away and there's a lot of demand for this asset.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a new day, Tony. Like it definitely feels like, we started off as infants in this industry and now we're, becoming adults. And, I'm happy to be part of the adult movement in digital assets. And part of that adult movement is getting institutions to adopt. I don't think this ecosystem, I don't think cryptocurrencies will flourish until there is broad-based adoption by institutions out there. And again, Evernorth is one tool to help get institutional adoption, making it easier to participate in the crypto economy, making it easier to participate in this financial future that will be built on blockchains. But there's going to be other tools that we need. We talked about regulation and the right kind of legislation, but we need more tools around there. ETFs being a great one, CME futures, trading XRP, another great tool. And again, this is all part of the adult growing up process that the whole industry is now participating in. Thankfully.
This took a weird turn. We went from infants to adults and we're all adults and I don't know what's going on here, but listen, I'm going to tell you, we have these digital asset treasuries that are starting to expand in the XRP space. That is putting pressure on other companies, banks, institutions, corporates, whatever you want to call them, to do something very similar, to have their own strategies around XRP and other digital assets. That is going to be a booming business all on its own. You start to throw in the institutional demand for ETFs. That's going to provide a ton of liquidity. That's going to reduce the circulating supply. You throw in the DeFi layers being built on the XRP ledger and the EVM sidechain and all the developers building out the future products for borrowing and lending and everything else and tokenization. You start to realize there's not a lot of XRP left on exchanges. What happens when you have all of this demand starting at once? You have regulation coming in and then you start to have the asset being used for its full utility. That is what we're waiting for, ladies and gentlemen. All of these things are coming to a head at the same time. And so you ask me, Sensei, where do you think the price of XRP is going to be? I know it's not going to be the same price in a month, a year from now, or 5 years from now. I can tell you, once we reach that utility point, the speculation will be done. And so I am trying to accumulate as much XRP as I can. If it goes down, if there's another crash, I'll keep buying until we reach a point where I'm like, maybe I should buy something else. At this point, I'm going to keep supporting the XRP community. This is my biggest holding in asset class, and I'm so excited for my future and of course for your future.
Yeah, for sure. Now I read you guys are raising $1 billion to buy XRP, of course. Is that a cap, or in the future you may raise additional capital? And who are the folks who have participated so far in the capital?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, we'll stay active out there.
I bet.
We don't have any plans to stop. And so we'll, as soon as the transaction is closed, we'll again look at additional opportunities. But the idea is not to stop at $1 billion in, treasury. And I'm happy, Tony, to be supported by world-class investors. And one thing that we do want to do is expand internationally. You may know that XRP is widely popular in Korea, and in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
And having SBI, participate in Evernorth's, financing is going to potentially help unlock those Asian markets for us as well. So that post-close transaction, looking to those kinds of expansion opportunities is going to be a high priority for the Evernorth team. And again, we're lucky to have world-class investors from SBI, Ripple, Arrington, XRP Capital, and several others join us in this journey.
Sounds like they're going to, it sounds like they're going to be expanding into other markets. You heard South Korea, you heard Japan. I would imagine it's going to be a list of other countries. They said that 1 billion is not where they're going to stop. I'd imagine could go to 5, 10. I would imagine the sky is the limit for what they're trying to do. And I think this is going to be great for demand for XRP. All right, now let's circle back here. Canary XRP ETF, the Form 8-A was sent in. Canary filed a 8A for XRP ETF last night, which points to a launch tomorrow or Thursday. Thursday morning, it will go live for launch. And here it is from Alexis Shirkia, chairman of Ripple-backed Yellow Network, told Invez in email that the recent XRP price increase driven by the news that many spot XRP ETF issuers are actively positioning for an immediate launch marked by the removal of the SEC's delaying language in S1 filings and the DTCC's listing of up to 9 potential XRP tickers. Investors are looking to get in ahead of the benefit for retail institutional capital that floods in. So people are trying to get in now. I can tell you that my mom just bought some XRP. That is what's up, right? Shout out to you, Mom. Love you. DBS Bank plus Ripple. There's some big transformation happening here. JP Morgan and DBS are building a tokenized framework for interbank deposits. You wonder how Ripple could be involved here. I just want to get some additional information. DBS Bank involvement. DBS is not only working directly with major players like JP Morgan for tokenizing interbank deposits, but it's also featured in groups of financial institutions collaborating with Ripple. This deepens the level of institutional engagement from Ripple technology and standards, indicating that Ripple is seen as a credible enterprise-grade solution for real-world asset tokenization and payments. Ripple's institutional push, DBS, has been involved in projects where Ripple's RLUSD stablecoin and the XRP ledger are used for tokenizing traditional assets, including money market funds and collateralized lending solutions for international clients. For example, accredited investors can already trade RLUSD and tokenized assets like Franklin Templeton's SG Benji via DBS's digital exchange, with plans to use these tokenized assets for broader liquidity and credit solutions in the next phase. It says the JP Morgan DBS framework is enabling instant cross-border settlements using tokenized deposits, even across public and permission blockchains. Ripple's tech and partnerships position XRP and RLUSD as neutral bridges or rails for this new interoperable, programmable money system, especially given Ripple's global banking relationships and technical standards. This is what we want to see, guys. All right, here is BlackRock's Robbie Mitchnick talking about stablecoins. Let's play it.
It's hard to imagine a world where not even stablecoins have significant adoption, because already today it's 300 billion in market cap, right? And that's in a pretty high interest rate environment, which is remarkable, right? So the stablecoin value proposition, this ability to move money around the world in near real time at near zero cost between any two people with a smartphone to get access the world over to digital US dollars, which many, many billions of people around the world have shown a clear desire to be able to have that access. That horse has left the barn. And it's just a question of how fast and how broadly adopted across other domains do stablecoins get, whether we're talking about, retail remittances, which are massively inefficient today, cross-border payments for corporate multinationals, which have, lots of frictions and costs associated with them, and maybe more ambitiously, financial market settlement activities. So subscribing and redeeming from funds in stablecoins, settling trades in stablecoins, processing corporate actions, margin and collateral in stablecoins. So lots of pretty exciting applications for it. That I think is the bear. If that's the bear case for tokenization, it's actually not that bad.
The horse has left the bar, guys. We are almost there. Listen, when you have the heads of digital assets at BlackRock telling you how important stablecoins are to the global financial system and how this will enable US dollars to, billions of people will have access to US dollars more cheaply, more efficiently, this can only be good for the US dollar going ahead here. And I think this is going to be a vital step going forward. All right, this is actually from October, but we're talking about stablecoins. And so I thought this was a clip to include here.
So Phil, let me follow up to that for a moment here. What are some of the key advantages of using stablecoins over traditional fiat or other types of crypto?
That's a great question. Number one is this cheapness with which you can transfer. So for example, if you transfer a stablecoin like RLUSD, which is issued by Ripple, then on the XRP ledger, you can transfer that for literally fractions of a cent. Super fast and super cheap as well. When we look at the cost of a wire transfer, I'll give you an example. We recently ran a prize competition for our community, and some of the prizes were very, very small, just as guaranteed prizes. We sent $10 to one participant. It actually cost $5 to receive it because that was the price. It was a $15 wire transfer. So she actually lost $5 because we sent her 10. So absolutely insane. That's just one example of how stablecoins are making it a lot faster and a lot cheaper to receive and send payments.
All right, I thought that was valuable to add here. So now take a look at this. Bo Hines sitting next to Brad Garlinghouse. Wonder what that's about. But remember, Bo Hines now works at Tether, doesn't work in the White House. So I know some people were getting all crazy about this, but Bo Hines has really been more pushing Bitcoin and Tether now than anything. And so I don't know if this is really anything to get super excited about. Obviously, he still has connections in the White House, but I think we're going to get like very speculative, like, could he be doing this? Could he be doing that? Who's got time for that? But anyways, this says last night, official Cantor brought together some of the most influential minds in the digital assets and AI space. 5 years ago, we made a commitment to the sector. We believed in crypto. Today, we stand at the center of the space. Achieving our goals takes more than insight and dedication. It takes execution, and that's where the firm truly stands apart. We execute, which was really cool. This is Kevin O'Leary right here too. Here is the one of the Winklevoss twins of Gemini, and looks like you have, what's it called, Michael Saylor here. This guy's like, I wonder if Michael knows who Satoshi is, right? That's what he's thinking when he's staring at Michael right there. And then of course, there's Tom Emmer, Majority Whip, and there's the CEO of Tether right there. Interesting. All right, guys, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think. All of this news is happening at once. If you're having trouble keeping up, make sure that you're subscribed and you have the bell notification turned on. Every day I'm going to wake up and bring you the hottest, best information around the XRP and crypto space. Thank you for spending this time with me. I do consider it an honor. Happy holidays. I will see you next time. I'm Crypto Sensei. Aloha.